Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
How's your day going?
Going good. Thank you. Yes.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Bronco Nation, when I score, Jackson pours. Each game I score a touchdown, head to Jackson's on Monday for a 49-cent fountain drink with Let's Go rewards. And don't forget your free banana, Jackson's. Let's go.
It's the all-wheel drive event at Lithia Ford of Boise. From hunting trips to ski trips to trips to Grandma's house. Nobody does AWD like LFB, Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. BNN Live is presented by our title sponsor, rowpaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, and our major sponsors, Jackson's, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, Lithia Ford of Boise, and the Blue and Orange Store. Broadcasting from the Sun Cruiser Studios, here's BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Bronco Nation? Welcome on into a live edition of Bronco Nation News Live here at bronconationnews.com. My name is BJ Rains. We got Mike Prater with us, and Mike, we're on hotel Wi-Fi, and so that's always an adventure, so you may be on your own for part of today. I may switch this over here in a second to a different Wi-Fi because I don't know how great this is working. I can kind of see you. I can kind of not see you. I don't know if that's me or you. Can you hear me, Mike Prater?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I'm not sure I can see you, but I can definitely hear you.
All right. I'm going to switch the Wi-Fi over here to my phone then and tether this in a second. I even paid the $5 for the upgraded internet here in the hotel room, and it doesn't seem to be working, so I want a refund here.
Good luck with that on a Friday morning before the holidays. Nicely done.
What, Mike, I'm going to just get you talking here for a second while I do switch the Wi-Fi over. I want to get into the transfer portal. Obviously, another name enters. We're up to 7 now for Boise State. We'll discuss that. I do want to get to basketball as well. But what were just some of your general takeaways from the Spencer Danielson press conference on Wednesday and just your overall general state of this football team as we sit here now, basically a week removed from the final game?
Well, he's definitely digging into the trenches and, digging in his heels and sticking to his guns. He's not wavering at all, guys, on everything that kind of drives the fans a little bit crazy right now in terms of the quarterback situation, the transfer portal, all that kind of stuff, the Cage Casey. I think Spencer Danielson's press conference the other day, his postseason press conference, was one of the most unique ones he's ever had in terms of it seemed a little edgy. He seemed a little bit more businesslike than usual. And Spencer Danielson is juggling with a lot of stuff right now. And, the Cage Casey thing, I honestly think that he screwed it up. If he's telling us every single piece of detail that we've asked and answered it, and I think he answers these tough questions pretty honestly, it's definitely a mistake for Spencer Danielson. I have no idea to this point why he felt it was necessary to leave Cage Casey home and leave Cage Casey out there for people to question his character. We all kind of questioned his character when we found out Cage Casey wasn't traveling because we didn't know the information. Boise State handled that situation very poorly from the very beginning in terms of releasing the kind of information, the basic information. I don't need to know all the gory details. I just need to know the basic information, and that stuff wasn't out there. And then Spencer Danielson owns up and said it was my decision. I don't get it. I think it became a bigger distraction. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. I don't know how Cage Casey's going to feel if he's ever becomes a billionaire in the NFL again, if he ever wants to give money to Boise State. But then again, no players give money to Boise State, so maybe that's just a wash there. But I thought it was a mistake. And then the quarterback thing, we're going to debate until the end of time, until Maddox Madsen either flunks out or Maddox Madsen wins a championship. The quarterback debate is not going away. It's only going to get more intense this offseason, BJ.
All right, this is Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com. I think I've at least temporarily fixed the internet issues. It's funny how you pay for upgraded hotel Wi-Fi, yet the better option is just tethering it to your cell phone. But we're back. I can see it, Prater. I think we're okay, and hopefully everyone, we appreciate them for joining us. We do have a lot going on. We got the conference opener for basketball tomorrow. I want to get into that. We are going to start with football as we have been here in the last couple of minutes. Get your comments in, your thoughts in the ICCU YouTube chat. And if you got any questions for Prater or myself, any thoughts on the football team, transfer portal, basketball predictions for conference play, and tomorrow we'll get to those over the next 45 minutes or so. Mike, and just I mentioned this the other day, but if we have new listeners that cycle in, cycle off, whatever, I reported it was, quote, mutual because that's what a Boise State official spokesman told me on the record, that it was, quote, mutual. That wasn't some, backdoor source, whatever. We found out that Cage Casey wasn't at the game. I reached out and said, can you confirm Cage Casey's not at the game? I'm not going to, put the person that told me his name out there, but it was an official person that we would go to get the official information. And it was on the record that he was not here. And then I followed up with, I said, his decision or team. And the response was, quote, mutual. And then you had the press conference on Saturday go the way it did, Mike, where there was multiple times where Matt Lauder seemed a little frustrated. He used the word, quote, frustrating that Cage Casey wasn't there. There was a follow-up question about, what not having a leader here. What are your thoughts on that? And he said, I'm not going to answer the question. And then
I wanted to stop you there. He said no comment, which they all do. Do you think he said no comment because of Spencer Danielson or no comment because of Cage Casey?
Well, that's part of the problem. And Spencer Danielson was sitting right next to him. I think his exact phrase was, I'm not going to answer that question. Not necessarily a quote, no comment, but I think he said, I'm not going to answer that question. And then Spencer Danielson was sitting right there. So I followed up, they go one more question, and Spencer had been there for like 3 minutes and they already told us one more question. They're trying to hurry Boise State out of there so they can get Washington into the press conference room. And by the way, Spencer Danielson was nice enough to give a couple of us 6 extra minutes in the back room since they kind of hurried us off of there. So I do give him credit for that. But when they said last question, I had the mic and I'm like, I got like 6 things I want to ask. So I tried to get a 2-parter in there about Madsen. And I mentioned Cage Casey. I said, and I basically said, what more can you tell us about Cage Casey not being here? And do you think not having a senior lead, or a leader here and a captain here impacted the morale of the team at all? Because, he had just heard 30 seconds earlier what Matt Lauder had said. And Spencer Danielson basically said, I respect the question, but we're going to focus on the guys that are here. And then I'm going to leave it at that. And, he had every opportunity to say, well, that was my decision that he wasn't here. And, I'll I'll take the heat or whatever for that. He wasn't here because I didn't think he should be here. He was sitting right next to Matt Lauder when he said that, and he had every opportunity to diffuse the situation right then and there, and he didn't. And so that's why it lingered. And I don't know who deserves the blame in all this. Spencer Danielson's still a young coach learning to deal with the media. Maybe they weren't on the same page with him and his team spokesman when they, gave me the information. I don't know. But I thought it was a little odd that he had every opportunity to, right after he heard Matt Lauder see how frustrated he was and say that I'm not going to answer the question, for the head coach to step in and go, well, that was my decision. I'm going to take the blame for that, whatever. Didn't say that, said he wants to focus on who's here. And then he goes on, a team school podcast, with Jay Tust, and the story changes to that it was his decision that he wasn't here, or at least maybe the story didn't change, but the story came out there and was different than what we had, I guess, heard earlier. So that's not why they lost. Certainly they had a lot more issues in that, but that was basically hearing how Matt Lauder said, it was pretty clear that there were some unhappy teammates with however that decision went down.
Yeah, and I have to think that some of it, just by speculation and based on what we know, I have to think that some of it might be directed towards Spencer Danielson now that they know that kind of information. And that's the part that really kind of, not concerns me. And I certainly don't want to make a big deal. None of us want to make a big deal out of something that was a big deal for a while, real quick. And then, you play a football game and it's time to move on. And, we're just at this point, we're just trying to get some answers and some honesty. And I think there are some ramifications here. If the players found out that it was Spencer Danielson that said no, then there's some curiosities there. Every individual player is going to respond and react to the way they want to in their own unique way. And some of them are going to be curious. Some of them are going to be mad. Some of them are going to be upset, frustrated, disappointed, however you want to do it. Some of them are going to be in total support. But if Spencer Danielson made that decision, I just still don't get it. I still don't understand it. I wish I had 6 minutes in a hallway with him where we could kind of just dive into that and really figure out what he was thinking. But I have a feeling that he's going to, and he said case by case. So the next time this comes up, maybe he lets the kids stick around or whatever. If Cage Casey's not the one you can trust to stick around and be a positive support to your football team, that's where I think the big mistake was. I think there's going to be some ramifications here. And, people are always going to have this to remember when it comes to the way he handled this situation. And I think players in the locker room will remember this. And I don't think it's always going to be favorable towards Spencer Danielson.
Yeah, some people I think were probably upset that he didn't play. Some people upset that he wasn't there, and whose fault was that and that. There's probably blame to go around for everybody, I guess, there. And I did reach out to Cage Casey, never heard back. Tried twice to reach out and say, hey, man, do you want to give your side of this or explain to Bronco Nation kind of what happened and have any kind of final words, before you head off? And Cage Casey to this point has not responded to my interview request. So he'll have to talk at some point, maybe the combine or pro day or who knows what's next for him. But I'm curious to kind of get his side of this at some point moving forward here. What's your take on Maddox Madsen? You mentioned that's going to be the debate in the storyline. You guys talked about it on your show. We talked about it. Hey, a good game for Maddox Madsen would kind of quiet all this going into the offseason, and we pretty much got the opposite of that, Mike Prater. So we got 7-8 months to talk quarterbacks. I still think there's a chance that, Caleb Annett ends up in the transfer portal and they go get a transfer portal quarterback, and they can say that they, didn't change their messaging because once Annett left, that changed the equation because they've been pretty steadfast. Give the guy credit. Some local reporter from California, I think he's with Touchdowns and Tangents, whatever blog or whatever that is. And his first question right after the game to Spencer Danielson is, do you need to go in the portal to get a quarterback? And I was like, hey, man, I was going to ask it a little differently than that, but all right, here we go. And so, he's been pretty steady in his message that they don't need to do that and that they're happy with who they have and they believe in. Now, he did not come out, and maybe I read this wrong, Mike Prater, but I mean, he did not come out and say Maddox Madsen is our starter in those exact words in the Wednesday press conference. He said, we believe in him. He's got to get better. I mean, he said all the right things, but I never heard the words, he is our unequivocal starter, come out of his mouth. And I don't know if that's a change or if that's, I'm reading into that too much and he still meant that he was a starter. He just didn't actually say it and he didn't need to. I don't know. But he has been pretty, open that they don't need to go into the portal. They like who they have. They like the freshmen they have coming in. He believes in Max, believes in him. But I think if Annett were to leave, which nothing against Caleb Annett, but I'm not sure why he would stick around at this point. You've gotten passed by 2 walk-ons on the depth chart. And obviously you're nowhere near playing. But I think if he were to leave one way or the other, if they ask him to leave, if he leaves on his own, then they could go say, okay, well, we didn't expect him to leave. Now we have a spot open. And then they can go get a portal quarterback to compete, which, a lot of people still want that to happen. We've been saying all along it's going to probably be Maddox next year, no matter what. But I'm rambling here, but your big picture take on the quarterback situation and what Spencer Danielson and Zach Hill and Nate Potter do from here.
Well, you're right. I mean, he never said starter, but in December, I would never expect him to say starter. So I think maybe that's kind of a non-point at this point. But come on, let's be real here. Do we really think that Maddox Madsen's not going to be starting in that season opener against Oregon? There's no way that that's going to happen. The way that Spencer Danielson talks about Maddox Madsen, he is 1,000% convinced that he is the quarterback for this football team, and just all the words, the superlatives, and the words that he uses. We questioned him and we asked him about his loyalty and if he self-scouts his loyalty to make sure that he's seeing this quarterback room with clear vision and clear, the way you should be looking at it, as opposed to just being loyal to this kid. And the fact that he's not going to marry Maddox Madsen, and a lot, when I put that tweet out, a lot of people said, "Is that really the news you were worrying about, Prater, or is that the stuff that kept you up at night?" No, it didn't. But if Maddox Madsen is getting married in the spring, your Boise State starting quarterback is getting married in the spring, and your head football coach is going to marry him, and every fan out there is really upset about the quarterback competition, that's a big deal. I mean, you're not going to marry a kid and then bench him. That's just not going to happen. So that would solidify the fact that Maddox Madsen has no chance whatsoever to lose this job. Now, Spencer said, "I'm not going to marry him. I've never been asked." He said, "If I am asked, I would do it." That's all beside the point. Maddox Madsen is the quarterback of this football team, and I can't imagine any competition whatsoever that's going to unseat him. If they bring in a transfer portal quarterback, BJ, at this point, it's almost like, okay, let's just kind of go find somebody to fill the roster spot. The kind of transfer portal quarterback I've been talking about off and on, and yeah, I've been a little flaky. I've been up and down, just kind of like Maddox Madsen himself, is a difference maker, to come in and be a difference maker. So giving somebody like a Power 4 backup or an FCS superstar, giving him a couple of $100,000 and telling him to come in here and compete with Maddox Madsen, that's the kind of transfer portal quarterback that I want. And that's not the kind of transfer portal quarterback we're going to get. We're going to get, like, if he goes that route, he's going to go out and find some scrub on some team, give him absolutely zero money, and give him a chance to compete for a roster spot and money. And so that's not the kind of thing that I'm looking for. And if that's the way it happens, then that's a little bit unfortunate. But the only person I'm going to say that can compete with Maddox Madsen at this point, I'll go with Cash Herrera, because of one thing. And in one of those press conferences, post-recruiting day press conferences, Spencer Danielson used the word NFL talent. We all kind of rolled our eyes. He's a high school kid, NFL talent. But Spencer Danielson's never said that about any other quarterback recruit. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure Spencer Danielson has ever used NFL talent for any recruit. So maybe he thinks that Cash Herrera is pretty damn good. He went to Indiana, decommitted. He went to Iowa, decommitted. There's some Power 4 programs that think he's pretty damn good. Cash Herrera might have a puncher's chance to win this quarterback competition just based on the limited facts that we know, but we all know what's going to happen. This is Maddox Madsen. This is Nate Potter. This is Spencer Danielson. Bring on the Ducks.
By the way, Danny Hernandez, the quarterback guru, Chris Van Sickle for BNN caught up with him and wrote a great article that I'm going to wait and post on Monday, just so we have some content next week. But Danny Hernandez, his thoughts on both these quarterbacks, how ready are they to compete, who's the better quarterback of the two. We dive into the mind of Danny Hernandez, the quarterback guru, at BroncoNationNews.com, and that will be up on Monday as you going into next week. There was some very interesting, good stuff there from Danny and from Chris Van Sickle. So nice story there, Chris tracking him down, and we'll have that on Monday's show. Bigger picture with the roster, Mike. Obviously, we've talked about this. There's some areas they need to address. I think they need to. The problem is, as I've talked about all week, and some of these topics, somebody say, why are we still on this? I have different hosts every week. I want to get similar opinions. So, yes, sometimes the topics are regurgitated from earlier in the week, but it's new opinions, new thoughts from new folks. And so I have talked about this, Mike, but I wanted to get your take. Like, they need to, in my opinion, go get an offensive lineman in the transfer portal. They need to probably go get a linebacker in the transfer portal. I think they could use a wide receiver out of the transfer portal. There's 3 or 4 or 5 spots where they could use an impact of a talent infusion. And they, in the past, have just been reluctant to spend money and do that. And you wrote a column saying you'd like to see more, roster change than roster retention, and like to see more outside guys coming in. Have you heard anything in the last couple of months and from Wednesday's press conference with Spencer Danielson that leads you to believe they actually have money and or will go out and try to make impact additions in the portal versus trying to hang on with most of their money to the guys they have?
No, I think Spencer Danielson has a style. I think Spencer Danielson has an off-season way of conducting business, and I think we're seeing exactly what it is. I don't think he's giving anybody any kind of money just to come in. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen, linebackers, wide receivers, it all starts right there for me. And bring in some transfer portal guys, and there's 5 or 6, and I think we're going to talk about them here. A new one today in terms of Boise State players leaving. Nobody of major impact. But Boise State has not talked about anything about a transfer portal, and Spencer Danielson made that very clear. The transfer portal isn't even open until January 2nd, and they're doing some studying because you can look at the names in the transfer portal already. So they're trying to do their due diligence. But he said, we're not going to reach out and have any contact with anybody, even though other people are doing it, he said, and obviously they are. He said, we're going to do it the right way. That's admirable. That's fine. That's pretty cool. And so January 2nd, he'll start calling people and talking about the transfer portal. I don't imagine we're going to hear anything about the transfer portal until mid-January. And I think there's even some cases, and maybe you can clarify this with me, BJ. There's been some cases where some guys have shown up early to start the semester in mid-January, and we didn't even know that they were on the team until we saw spring camp. So there's always kind of a couple of transfer portal guys that they don't announce. They kind of slide them onto the roster. They get them into class. We're not talking high-profile guys. We're just talking about roster fillers at this point. It'll be very interesting to see because we're all kind of anxious to see the transfer portal. We might not know anything until March.
And don't forget the transfer portal window of the 2nd, so I think the 15th or 16th, is just to enter the transfer portal. You do not have to have a new school picked by January 15th when the portal closes. So a lot of guys, and a lot of this will move pretty fast. I think, Boise State will have their kind of targets of guys that can, at midnight on the 1st or whatever, that they're going to be talking to. And when they see their name pop up in the system, they're going to start calling right away. And I'm sure that first weekend, even on the 3rd and 4th, Mike, that's a Friday the 2nd, I believe. I mean, right away, you could have some visitors, maybe even that weekend. The next weekend, for sure, you'll probably have a ton of visitors. But so I think once it opens, it will go pretty quick. And you're right, some guys trickle out later. But part of it is, you just have to enter the transfer portal. So a guy could enter the transfer portal and then not decide till the summer where he's going or however that works in terms of, filling roster spots and stuff. And it will be interesting with this one portal window. Obviously last year you had the second window after spring ball, and that's not the case now. So remember last year, Andrew Simpson left in the middle of spring ball and Braxton Feely initially left, in spring ball or right around there. And so theoretically, and there's waivers and there's all kinds of weird things that happen, but theoretically you'll go into spring ball knowing who your team is, and there's no worry about losing anybody else. And from that standpoint, it should help. Now, they have lost 7 players to this point, Mike Prater. We've got a transfer portal tracker up at BroncoNationNews.com. Chris Van Sickle doing an outstanding job for us updating this. 7 players, and this goes back to the middle of the season, obviously, Mike Prater. But Breezy Dubar to this point, Clay Martineau, a linebacker, J.J. Tallow, an offensive lineman, Chase Martin, a linebacker, Hall Schmidt, offensive lineman, Jarrett Reeser, the backup kicker, and then just yesterday / this morning, Cam Jones, a wide receiver that was a freshman he was a guy that a lot of folks had high hopes for. When we did our top 5 true freshmen that could make an impact this season, Mike Prater, kind of over the summer type stuff, Chris Van Sickle had him as the number 2 freshman potentially to make an immediate impact. He had offers during his recruitment from Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, Ohio State, Louisville. At one point during his recruitment, he was named the most outstanding receiver at the All-American Bowl National Combine. Had some big numbers in high school. He played 4 games in his senior season in high school, but had 900 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns, and 50 catches in 4 games before he got hurt and missed the rest of the season. It's hard to say anybody that didn't play or didn't have a catch is a massive loss this day and age because they're a freshman. You just go get somebody else the next year. But he was at least expected to have a high ceiling and be a guy that a lot of people thought would do what Quentin Brown ended up doing this year and kind of making an immediate impact. So it's at least notable that he's left. Any of the other 6 that have left to this point, whether it's Martineau or Martin, Hall Schmidt, obviously, is a guy that had some starting experience last year, couldn't stay healthy. Any that you would consider, big losses at this point?
No, I don't think there's any big losses there. There's just a couple of curiosities. And you think about Hall Schmidt and, he was on the unavailability report or whatever you call it, the availability report. He was unavailable on the availability report throughout the entire season. I have a hard time thinking that he was injured. So now that he's leaving, I have a feeling maybe there was some kind of circumstances there, and maybe it's all good and hunky-dory, and he can stick around and finish the semester and then go off into wherever he wants to go into the future. But that one was kind of weird. I have a hard time believing at this point that he was injured the whole season and they were just protecting him, and now he wants a change. And whether that's football or whatever, who knows? The biggest curiosity for me, though, was the linebackers. And I have no idea if Martin and Martineau are any good. They certainly didn't play, and they're not great losses here. But the linebacker room, what is there? 2 left, 3 left, whatever it is. I mean, there's one and a half dudes. There's 1.5 guys. Bone Phelps, who came on and is obviously the linebacker of the future for Boise State. And then you have to worry about Rip. Rip was the big star when the season started, and when the season ended, Rip was really nowhere to be found. I'm not even sure how much he was playing. So there's 1.5 dudes in the locker room for linebackers, and now all of a sudden 2 of them are gone. So I don't know if maybe the coaching staff said, guys, you're not good enough to play here, move on, or those guys got frustrated, but there's opportunity in front of them. And 9 times out of 10, when guys get in the transfer portal, they just want to play, and there's opportunities to play. So what happened here? I'm just very curious. Maybe it's an opportunity for Boise State to go out and get better linebackers, but the fact that there's just 1.5 linebackers and 2 of them left, that was kind of curious to me.
Yeah, I know Sincere Brackett Lambie, a freshman, they like him, moving forward as well, but to expect him to come in and just be an immediate impact starter when he didn't play very much this past season would be but there you go, Mike. Like they need to go get an impact guy, but who are they getting? And are they getting, they're not going to be offering $250,000 in the transfer portal to go get a linebacker.
No.
I know it's apples to oranges, and I do want to talk basketball in a little bit, but what do you make, and you've talked on the show about this, Leon Rice and how he's attacked the transfer portal. I asked Spencer about kind of a similar question about that, and I know it's not the same, and he mentioned, hey, and he's right, all you need in basketball is 1 or 2 big players, and it changes the look of your team because you're adding 40% to your starting lineup. If you want to add 40% to your starting lineup in football, you've got to go get 7 guys or 8 guys or whatever it is. But what do you make just in terms of Spencer's philosophy with the transfer portal? Some of it's out of his control with the money he has that he's allowed to spend. But they badly need a linebacker. They badly need at least 1, maybe 2 starters in the offensive line. Like they went and filled a spot a couple years ago with Cade Beresford, and he was a tremendous guy that was, but they've identified a guy that wasn't starting. It had started a couple games. It wasn't like a full-time starter at Washington State. Obviously had the family ties there with his dad, which maybe helped, but they're going to really have to scour, backup players on other rosters that don't care about the money and just want to play. And it's going to have to be a unique thing at some of these positions, or you take the hotshot FCS guy with a lot of stats like a Derek Ganter Jr. that just wants a chance at D1, but you would think if someone's offering him, other schools are offering him and paying him if he's that good. So they're in a unique spot where they need to make some serious additions to this roster. But as we talked about earlier in the show, it just doesn't seem like that's going to be very easy given what they have available to them.
Well, first of all, that was a great question that you asked him, and I hadn't even thought about that. And even though we've talked about it at Idaho Sports Talk, the difference between Leon and Spencer Danielson and the way they spend some roster money, as you've pointed out several times, in terms of the additions to Boise State's basketball roster, 2 or 3 of the top guys coming in and getting paid are newcomers. Spencer Danielson said, Leon and I are just different. That part's very true. The fact that he also said basketball and football are different, and that part's very true as well. But here's kind of where I got I didn't quite understand the answer from Spencer Danielson in terms of one guy can make a difference in basketball, and guess what? One guy can make a difference in football too, the quarterback position. So if you can go out and get a quarterback for a couple $100,000, he can be a difference maker on a 22-man football team. There's no doubt about it. We've seen it hundreds of times. So the difference maker part, I thought he was being a little bit hypocritical. It's very, very clear that he just does not want to do it. And that's where he said, me and Leon are just different. That's probably the truest thing that he's ever said. And he's just not going to give money to kids unless they step on the field at Boise State in a practice uniform in front of his very eyes and earns the money. He's just not going to go there. So I understand that. That's pretty good. Eventually, he's probably going to have to stay away or get away from that kind of policy and maybe tweak it a little bit. The Dabo Sweeneys of the world, the people that went in kicking and fighting into the transfer portal, NIL, rev share era are figuring out that you got to do a little bit of it. You got to do some of it here. You don't have to go crazy. And maybe Spencer kind of figures that out along the way. But right now, he's sticking to his guns. I give him credit for that. He knows what he wants, and he's sticking to it. I just don't know if it's the exact right thing to do for this football roster right now.
Sky wants to know, is Boise State a prisoner of begging guys to come back for their 5th and 6th years instead of trusting the young talent on the roster to be ready to go early on?
Probably a little bit of both, but I'm all for change. And that's what the column that you referenced earlier. I want as much massive change. I don't want Spencer Danielson to stand up in his pre-spring camp press conference and say, we retained all 10 coaches. We retained every single player on this roster. Roster retention at times is good when we're talking about assistants and players, but in this particular case, I just want to, I don't want complete total upheaval. I mean, this football program is in a much, much better shape than that. It's in really, really good shape. We're kind of at times nitpicking about a program that has such a high success rate where you have to nitpick. But I want as much change as humanly possible. I'm not sure we're going to get it. They have 20 roster spots to fill. They have 26 kids coming in for the recruiting period. I think 15 or 16 of them are going to join the team in January. So just by nature of recruiting, they're going to fill a lot of their roster spots, maybe plug in a couple of transfer portal guys, and 90% of this roster is taken care of without massive change.
What do you make of Spencer Danielson continuing to kind of lean on the 3 straight championships? And I mean, I'm not saying that he was like okay with the season, obviously 5 losses, 9-5 season, but it did seem like anytime, that there was a negative thing, hey, what's your message to the fans, whatever else. It's like, well, we did just win 3 championships in a row. And I know for good majority of the fan base, hey, it was 9 wins. You won a conference championship. It was a successful season. But I know there's a lot of folks out there that say that's not good enough around here. It needs to be double-digit wins every year. You can't be losing at home to Fresno State, regardless of who the quarterback is, how embarrassing the San Diego State game was. Just losing the South Florida game on national TV the way they did. Like, he kept coming back to the 3 straight championships. What do you make of that and kind of the bar and as they move forward here? I mean, and I know he wasn't here for a couple of them, but that is, at least 4 losses in 4 of the last 5 seasons here, a stretch that's never happened in this program's history. I mean, it's crazy to say because you have the CFP bid, so I guess maybe you can't say that, but I mean, statistically, I was going to say the worst 5-year stretch. You probably can't say that if you went to the CFP, but 4 losses or more in 4 out of 5 seasons, first time that's ever happened for this program. And he seemed, I don't want to say content with the 3 championships, but certainly seemed like he was trying to spin it positively. What do you make of just the big picture goals and whether or not you think Spencer's not happy with the season, but he may see it a little differently than some fans do?
Well, as usual, I have mixed results. And if I was him, I would do the same thing. I mean, that shouldn't be taken lightly. I mean, even by crusty old sports writers, 3 consecutive conference championships should be important. And I would pat myself on the back, and I would push that out there, and I would make that a thing with the recruits, and I would make that thing with the boosters, and I would make that a thing when you're out in the community in the offseason chasing money. That's a big deal. So, yeah, push that. But there's a piece of irony here where he's standing at this podium in the Boise State team room, and literally right above his head, where we made such a big deal about him getting up on a ladder and spray painting and crossing out the word bowl game to CFP. And that's one of the team goals now, to win a Mountain West championship. They're going to have to change that one, by the way. And the bowl game has now been changed to a CFP game. You can't really go out there and tell everybody we reached the high. We celebrated our 3rd straight conference championship when the team goal right above your head is to get into the CFP. Now, nobody expects Boise State to get into the CFP every single year. And crazy as this season was, they were in the conversation probably up until the last 2 or 3 weekends of the season. As crazy as it was mathematically, the big dogs were talking about Boise State. So it's not like that they were far off. But, yeah, celebrate the championship, but don't forget the fact that your goal, your stated goal, is very much higher, and you have to respect that as well. I lost you, BJ. Lost you.
They knocked on my door for the clean the room, and so I muted myself for a minute. Sorry about that. Final football. I'm in Kansas City for my brother-in-law's wedding tomorrow. So my brother-in-law is getting married tomorrow. So we're here in Kansas City for the wedding, and then we're actually heading down to St. Louis to good old Amtrak train. We're going to take the boys on the Amtrak train down to St. Louis, spend Christmas down there, and then so we'll have all of next. You get next week off, Mike Prater. We're going to take next week completely off from BNN. I don't know what your guys' show schedule is at KTIK, but I'm going to take the entire – I don't know if I've ever done that, 5 straight days of just no shows. We're going to take the entire week off, give all you guys a little bit of a break, and there's really not much going on, not much to talk about. So we're going to take a break next week. What did I say, brother? Did I say that wrong? Brother-in-law?
No, I thought you said brother-in-law, I thought.
Someone said, huh? Yeah, my wife's brother. That's my brother.
That's your brother-in-law, right?
Yeah, my wife's brother is getting married. So,
although I do question the timing of that. So, can you tell him that Prater back in Boise wonders why you're getting married the weekend before Christmas? That's kind of stressful, isn't it?
I mentioned it. My wife said everyone's traveling anyway, and you want to be with family over the holidays, so why not just kind of do it? I don't know. It works. We're here.
I'm the last guy that's giving marriage advice, so I'm just going to shut up now.
And it works out schedule-wise. I'm going to take my boys on Monday night to the Cathedral of College Basketball, Allen Fieldhouse, to see the Kansas Jayhawks play on Monday night. So I'm going to let Naismith get a history lesson on his name, and the official rules that James Naismith wrote out of basketball are on display at Kansas, and the whole Hall of Fame of Wilt Chamberlain and James Naismith and the whole history of Kansas basketball. I'm going to immerse my kids. They may not care. They may be ready to leave and get back to their video games, but we're going to take them to Allen Fieldhouse for a game. And then they don't know this yet, but part of their Christmas present is December 27th. They get to go to a St. Louis Blues game. So
nice.
We're going to go to a Blues game on the 27th while we're in St. Louis. So
I think you and I should be parents of the year, and my kids don't know this either, and I'm not too worried about them listening to the show, but the big-time Prater family present this year, the family road trip is to an NHL hockey game. We're going to go see Sidney Crosby, so I'll put the two kids in the car and go down to Salt Lake and see Sidney Crosby later on in early 2026. So we're both giving hockey gifts for Christmas. That's a good thing, right?
There you go. Yeah, new Blues sweatshirts and tickets to the game. They'll be part of their they'll actually probably be coming from Santa Claus, I think, on the 25th.
Nice.
So that's why we flew yesterday. We're here in Kansas City. Still wanted to do the show today, but then we'll be taking all of next week off and then getting back at it on Monday, the 29th. We will have pregame, postgame shows tomorrow. Nathan Carroll is going to handle that for us remotely from Boise. And then if Boise State's able to win tomorrow night against Nevada, we are scheduled to get Coach Rice and a player or two to jump on with Nathan on the postgame show remotely. So 8 o'clock tomorrow, we will talk basketball here in a second. 8 o'clock Mountain Time tomorrow is Boise State, Nevada. 7:30, Nathan Carroll will still have a pregame show for you, and then he'll have a postgame show afterwards after the game. But, okay, I digress. Final football thought from you, Mike, just as we turn to the new year, today is kind of the final day to kind of really put a bow on this thing for this year, and we come back and, ready to kind of start afresh in January here. What's kind of your just overarching storyline theme? What's the January, February talk here? What is it? Portal? Is it quarterback? Is it who leaves, who stays? What are you kind of going to be focused on, paying attention to here moving forward with the football team?
Yeah, as much as we love to focus on the quarterbacks, in my mind, it's time to kind of table that conversation for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months, until we actually get a competition on spring camp, and we'll see how that turns out starting in March. For me right now, it is the transfer portal, and it's the other positions that we just talked about. It's the wide receiver. This football team desperately needs one, maybe even two impactful wide receivers. We talked about Cam Jones coming in with the resume that he had. There was 3 or 4 young wide receivers on this football team: Brown, Whitlock, Williams, and there was a buzz around the group of young freshman wide receivers that came into the Boise State this year. And even with lack of production and limited production in the wide receiver room this season, those guys never got any traction. Quentin Brown had the highlight touchdown, broke his nose, and I think he caught 1 or 2 passes after that. Nobody else really emerged. They played a couple of them here and there. The desperate need for wide receivers. And I wonder what in the industry, as they say, I wonder what the scuttlebutt is in terms of, do wide receivers want to go to Boise State? Because I don't think wide receivers at Boise State are very happy right now with Maddox Madsen as the quarterback. The passing game isn't clicking. The deep passing game doesn't exist. And I think guys like Latrell Caples, who was born with a smile on his face, Latrell Caples is one of the happiest dudes I've ever seen. But he had one of the most miserable seasons I've ever seen. And just in terms of the luck, he just looked like he had a miserable season, and it was really weird. Probably other stuff was going on, but I think a lack of production in the wide receiver room has become a thing. And if you're going to try to bring in new wide receivers, sometimes you have to wonder what they think about what kind of quarterback is getting me the ball. But they need wide receivers. They need an impact linebacker. There's no doubt about it. They need a couple of glue guys on the offensive line. They could use a plug-and-play guy on the defensive line as well. Keeping an eye on the transfer portal for those 4 positions, I think shoring up those positions could really make or break Boise State going into the season. So that's definitely what I'm going to be looking at.
I was kind of in and out watching parts of that Seahawks-Rams game last night because we were flying and didn't have great signal. Was trying to follow it a little bit. And great game, amazing game, by the way, overtime. Got here to the hotel in time to see the end of that. That was an unbelievable game. But there was a stat they brought up at one point, and I know we can find this out. It's pretty easily available from Nathan Carroll. I just don't know it off the top of my head. But they said that Matthew Stafford had completed 33 passes of at least where the ball was thrown at least 20 yards down the field. That was the most in the NFL, I believe. But 33 passes where the ball traveled at least 20 yards. I mean, does Boise State have 5 of those this year? 10? I mean, it's got to be less than 10, right? I mean, I don't know what the number is. Nathan, like I said, I'm sure it's out there. Nathan can tell us pretty quickly. Somebody might know. But I actually thought of that last night. I was like, 33 passes. I mean, that's 2 to 3 a game. I mean, that's 3 a game or whatever it is at this point in the season. Or I guess 2.5. I don't know what the number is. But you mean, even most of Boise State's long passes were shorter passes that turned into longer runs. I mean,
100%.
and that was supposed to be something all offseason. We heard that was supposed to be a big change this year.
Yeah, and we did ask Coach Danielson about that the other day, and I got to be careful with the words I'm going to say, but I almost felt like he was in denial a little bit, and it's real. And you can, it's not like I've studied the analytics, and I mean, Nathan can go figure out the numbers or whatever, but we see it with our eyes. There is not a deep passing game. Consistently deep threat passing game at Boise State. It doesn't exist. And that really, really cramps your style when it comes to this offense. So I didn't see that stat last night. By the way, I sat down last night to write a column because I told you I was going to write you a column last night. And then within about 20 minutes, I got sucked into that game and I couldn't get out of it. So I'll get you a column here in the next couple of days. But that was such a spectacular football game. I couldn't not watch it. And it was just really, really cool. And yeah, I mean, quarterback play at that level is so fun to watch, and we just don't see that with Maddox Madsen. But I'm kind of getting tired of beating up Maddox Madsen all the time.
Yeah, no doubt, and that's fine. I told you Monday or Tuesday would be fine for the column, so that's no worries on that. All right, I do want to get a basketball thought or two, but I got to run through some sponsors here real quick that make this show free of charge for folks to watch on YouTube. Sun Cruiser, real iced tea, real vodka. Pick up a Sun Cruiser today and take a picture of yourself having one. Post it on social media, tag us, and we'll put you in a drawing to win a cool prize from Sun Cruiser at the end of the month. They're available at Jackson's, available at Ridley's, at Albertsons. Sun Cruiser, they have the iced tea vodkas, also just the lemonade vodkas. Really highly recommend those. Rowpaint.com, 20% off your winter painting project. Hit up rowpaint.com. And whether it's those interior, exterior paintings or the concrete coatings, rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union, the best, easiest mobile e-branch online banking. Just ask Mike Prater, ask myself, ask Jay Tuss. A number of people have made the switch. ICCU.com and make the switch today. Taco Bell, TacoBellWorks.com. Go and get those crispy chicken strips, the breakfast quesadilla, the Baja Freeze, Mountain Dew Blast, all the options they have there for the slushies. TacoBellWorks.com, the S1 Management Group, the Nicolason family. Appreciate them. Taco Bell, to visit Treasure Valley Taco Bell location today. Don't forget about Jackson's. They've got that. They have the trading cards. They have the 99-cent coffee anytime, day or night. And right now, they have their 12 days of Christmas going on. So get on out there, and every day leading up to Christmas, you get a different free item from our friends at Jackson's if you use your Let's Go Rewards app. So go see what today's free item is at Jackson. Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game, thespateam.com. Locations in Twin Falls, Boise, Meridian, Nampa. They've been a part of the Boise State home team since 1978. Check them out. Snake River Pool and Spa, Patio and Game. As we get into basketball season now, you need some basketball jerseys and gear. They got you at the Blue and Orange Store, theblueandorangestore.com. Check them out, theblueandorangestore.com, the Boise Town Square Mall location, the location at the Allen Noble Hall of Fame, or, of course, order anywhere in the world, theblueandorangestore.com, and you can still get stuff by Christmas. They got some great deals going on, half off on a lot of polos and things. Check them out at the blueandorangestore.com. Hey, they got to make room at Lithia Ford of Boise for some new 2026 models. So that means great deals on some new 2025. 0% APR financing for 60 months and 0 down. We're talking F-150s, Escapes, Explorers, all kinds of great options. Check them out online, lithiafordboise.com, or visit them there in Boise on Fairview Avenue. Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley is Matt Bauscher. Check him out, BauscherRealEstate.com. You want to work with Idaho's top-selling real estate team. We did. Bought and sold our home from Matt and his team. Tremendous customer service. Fought for every dollar, and appreciate Matt. Check him out, BauscherRealEstate.com. Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com. Locations across the Treasure Valley. Love that Kuna location. They have state of Idaho, surrounding states, like 30 Ridley's Family Markets in all. Download that Skip app. Get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line. Ridley's Family Markets online at shopridleys.com. Transportation compliance service, transcomservice.com. You want to get into the trucking industry? Well, they can help you out every step of the way. DOT, overweight, all the permits and things you need. Check out transportation compliance service online at transcomservice.com. And last but certainly not least, Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com. You can leave us a voicemail, speakpipe.com/BNN. And we're going to start in 2026 weekly giveaways for the best voicemail courtesy of Signature Roofing. Signature Roofing also is going to sponsor a scoreboard update. So we're excited to increase our advertising with Signature Roofing. We appreciate them. Online, mysignatureroofing.com. And again, re-roof, repair, estimate, or inspection, they got you covered online, mysignatureroofing.com. All right, Mike, I'm giving you next Friday off, so I'm going to go an extra minute or two here today. I apologize. But I always say we're going to split it, and then I'm 40 minutes in, and we haven't gotten to basketball yet. But just in general, your thoughts on this basketball team. I know now is kind of the time a lot of people are diving in now that football's over. Got the nice win against St. Mary's, had the win at Butler. They're sitting there at 8-3. All the computer numbers and everything look good. It's just that one, Hawaii Pacific loss that's still kind of looming over it from being just a great non-conference season. But overall, going into conference play here, I mean, we mentioned Drew Fielder and what they went and did and what they paid him. You look up and he's the leading scorer and the leading rebounder on this team, and obviously has played tremendous the last couple of games. But just big picture-wise, how you feeling about the basketball team as they head into the conference opener, 8 p.m., tomorrow night in Reno?
Yeah, I think this team's in pretty good shape, right now to go off on a nice conference run. And, we're going to, typical Leon Rice, it's going to have some ups and it's going to have some downs, and it's going to have more ups than downs. And that's kind of what we're seeing with this team right now. I'm really impressed with the way they've gotten the defense back on track. If you look, there was a 3-game run where they were giving up 50, 60 points. That's kind of the standard for Leon Rice's teams. And then, they increased the competition and lost a couple of games, and the defense got away from them a little bit. But the last 3 games, I think, have all been in the 60s in terms of the defense, and that's the sweet spot for Leon. So I think the defense
against
has done really
teams
nice
that are
job.
like averaging in the 80s too.
Yeah. So I think he's done a really nice job there of kind of buttoning that thing up. The toughness, the rebounding, everything that you would expect from a Leon Rice basketball team, including the ups and downs, including the drama, including the good losses, the bad losses, the good wins, the bad wins, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a typical Leon Rice season, but you can definitely see the talent on this team and what's going on. And it's really exciting to see what Drew Fielder can do over the course of the entire season. I do worry about the entire conference being a little bit down this year. Is that good for the Boise States of the world to take advantage? Or does sometimes Boise State, when these decisions become kind of nail biters at the end of the season, and Boise State's sitting on the fence, you need the strength of the Mountain West to help you out a little bit. So it's going to be a dynamic basketball season, and I'm looking forward to the Mountain West. Tomorrow in Reno's a sleepy little opener, and then we'll get through the holiday season, and I know they got another couple of games and dive in hard. But I like what I'm seeing, and I like the way that this team has rebounded over its last 3 games.
Tricky game tomorrow night. I mean, Ken Pom only has Boise State winning by 2. I mean, this is supposed to be a pretty close game. I mean, Nevada is actually not bad this year, and they're at home, and they play pretty well at home. And 72-70 is the projected score. They only give Boise State a 55% chance to win the game. So it is kind of a sneaky, tough game, and it's that weird game, Mike, where a lot of the players are flying straight home from Reno for the holidays, and you get a chance to take a break for a little while, and it's just that weird pre-Christmas game. But you mentioned Drew Fielder, and they went out and paid him and got him. I mean, I know it's like I said, it's certainly different, but you've talked about this before, but the way Leon Rice has gone about this roster and building this roster, and he had guys he needed to keep, Andrew Meadow, Pearson Carmichael, RJ Keene, and some of these returners, and he went out and paid more to a guy in the transfer portal. And it hasn't seemed to impact the team at the highest priced player as a transfer, and those guys don't seem unhappy, and it's somehow he's made it all fit money-wise and ego-wise and everything else. And to this point, they're starting to see some benefits of that. Yeah, and I wish Spencer Danielson would dive into that a little bit more. And I know we talked about that earlier in the show, but Leon Rice, I think it's not easy making this transition in the world, especially when you're a Boise State kind of a mid-tier program with mid-tier resources, and taking the NIL, taking the revenue sharing, taking the money and figuring out how to do it. And it seems like Leon Rice has really adapted well. I like the fact that he went out and chased, the 3 big dogs this year and reportedly gave them $500,000 combined or whatever it is. I think, and it's paying dividends. And that's the way it should be in college sports. And I wish Leon would
would push that up on Spencer just a little bit more because I think Leon Rice is doing it the right way. We'll see how this season plays out. We'll see how the chemistry plays out. You never quite know. I kind of think Dylan Andrews is always kind of the one guy you're keeping an eye on just to make sure that he stays stays coloring inside the lines, and he seems like the emotional guy that could go into a little bit of a funk. But so far, I like what he sees. And hopefully the chemistry continues. If they can keep this chemistry going, this team's going to get some wins, and this team's going to do some damage this Mountain West season.
And it's very interesting, Mike, because there's always been this, Leon can't win the big game, hasn't won the tournament game, it doesn't do well in March. I mean, the kind of scenario, which is all, true and out there and correct. But for the most part, like Leon Rice's teams have been pretty consistent. You're going to win 20-plus games. You're going to be in the mix for a tournament. You don't really go into a season thinking this team's going to suck or they might go 10-20 this year. And they've been pretty consistent. And I would say they've continued to kind of raise that bar a little bit with talent acquisition and some of that. And I know they won the Mountain West this year in football, but I mean, as I said, that's 4 out of 5 years where they've lost, 4+ games. And lately with football, it's been, they've had the great years, but they've also had the very disappointing down years. And I know you'd take the CFP. You certainly would take all that over never winning an NCAA tournament game. I totally get that. I'm not trying to say the last 15 years have been better in basketball than football by any means, but it is interesting that for all the negative criticism that comes Leon Rice's way sometimes about the never winning the big game, the consistency and the steadiness of always being right there, even in they lose to Hawaii Pacific, everyone's given up. Well, then you look up and they're 8-3 and have 2 quad 1 wins going into conference play. Like they had 1 year, I think, where they lost a lot of close games, and they had 4 or 5 years ago had a rough season. But for the most part, Mike, with the Leon Rice team, you're going to be in the mix and right on that bubble pretty much every year.
100%. And I remember the production meeting we had at KTIK right after that loss to Hawaii Pacific. And everybody on the staff wanted to call Joe Lenardi and bracketology and doom and gloom. And I said, we're not talking bracketology, guys, in October, November, because this thing is going to come down to the very end. We know exactly what Leon Rice's basketball teams are, and it should be a credit to what he does, other than winning the NCAA tournament game. You got to lift that lid off your program, take care of business. But Leon Rice, it's kind of weird. He could go 0 for 30. And in March 1st, we're going to be debating whether he's close to the NCAAs or not. That's just kind of how Boise State basketball is in terms of always being there. They're always in the conversation, and they're always coming up just a little bit short in terms of winning that NCAA tournament game. But the seeding and all that stuff, all the minutia, all that stuff, it's the classic conversation we have every year with this basketball team. And it's part of the fascinating part of the basketball season. It's kind of comforting to know that the Leon Rice is going to get you to that point every single time. And as soon as he does finally win an NCAA tournament, we can kind of stop talking about that big, ugly monkey on his back. But yeah, there is a big amount of comfort knowing that even if Leon Rice loses to Hawaii Pacific, the sky is not falling. He's going to right the ship. Leon Rice is one of those dudes that makes this team and makes this roster better throughout the season. I have no problem with him juggling the bench, being fluid, trying to figure out his rotation, which it seems like he's figured out his rotation now. And with the loss of Julian Bowie for this season, he's got himself a nice little 8 to 9 man rotation that he's very consistent about. Hey, let's go to war. Let's figure it out. Let's go to battle. Let's try to win a basketball championship and see where you are on March 14th.
I just think there's something to be said for that consistency. And just, yes, I'm not minimizing that they haven't won a tournament game. The March record is what it is. I get that. But to know going into pretty much any season, you're not going to go 10-20 this year. There's no rebuilding years. They pretty much just every year in that 20 win range. And I think it's something to be said for the consistency, especially when you look at the last 4 or 5 year stretch and kind of the ups and downs of the football season. But Mike, appreciate you for jumping on Idaho Sports Talk today. What do we got on? I know you guys were out at the Potato Bowl event yesterday. That looked like a fun time out there. What do we got on a Friday edition of IST today?
Yeah, a lot of bowl conversations, guys. We're also going to talk to Tom Wistrcill, the commissioner of the Big Sky Conference, Montana State tomorrow. We'll preview all the CFP games, Oklahoma, Alabama.
Is he still
tonight.
on the basketball committee?
We were talking about that yesterday. We have to find out to make sure his term still is up. I know he's been on it at least 2 years. Are those 3-year spots, or we'll have to look that up. But I think he is still on the basketball committee. His mind certainly is on Montana State tomorrow and trying to win a football championship. But yeah, Tom Wistrcill coming on today and just getting ready for a big weekend. I cannot wait. I love Idaho Sports Talk, but I cannot wait till 6:01. Oklahoma, Alabama. That's going to be one of my favorite football games of the entire season.
Yeah, can't wait for the playoffs. I hope Tulane and JMU can at least keep it respectable, just to try to change this narrative a little bit. That's been really frustrating hearing Nick Saban talk about not putting them in, and this is the AAA and all this. And that whole talk about the group of five. I agree. They should have one team, not two. I agree. And I just hope somehow, some way, James Madison doesn't lose 45-10 or whatever to really change this narrative. But should be a fun couple of days. I wish there wasn't NFL football on at the same time as the playoffs. That's kind of a bummer. They can't spread this out a little bit. But appreciate you, Mike. I assume I'll join you guys at 4:15 if you still want me today.
100%
on the road here from Kansas City. But again, no shows all next week. We're taking next week off. And I'm going to keep this rolling for a couple minutes, Mike. I got a couple of things I want to talk about, just procedural stuff with some other shows we have. But we appreciate you for jumping on, Mike, and we'll be listening 3 to 6 today, Idaho Sports Talk, man.
Talk to you this afternoon, bud.
Yep. Have a great holidays as well, Mike, and good week off for Mike Prater and everybody at BNN next week. Hope you watched our show, by the way, with Tom Moser. We had our debut episode with Tom Moser and Jeff Grammer and myself, Another Night in the Mountain West. That was on Wednesday night, and Tom is going to have a full hour-plus show tomorrow night. There are a ton of Mountain West basketball games tomorrow night. A lot of great games. Arizona is playing San Diego State in a non-conference game, but you got Utah State, Colorado State right out of the gate at noon tomorrow. Boise State, Nevada, a couple other games as well. I think 5 Mountain West games tomorrow, plus that extra game with San Diego State and Arizona. So great first response to the first show. If you want to talk Mountain West basketball, all the games, all the recap, players, coaches coming on post-game as guests, going to be a lot of fun tomorrow night. So as soon as that Boise State game ends, we're going to have our own post-game show on the BNN post-game show from Jackson's with Nathan Carroll. So we'll still have pregame, post-game coverage tomorrow. Join us at 7:30 tomorrow night for the Lithia Ford of Boise pregame show. Nathan Carroll will get you set for Boise State and Nevada. As soon as that game ends, we'll have our postgame show, the Jackson's postgame show. And assuming Boise State can win, we're going to get Coach Rice and a player or two on live. That'll be at 10 o'clock right when the game ends with Nathan Carroll on BNN. And then about 10:30, when his show is done, that'll be when the San Diego State-Arizona game ends. And Tom Moser will host a full night of Another Night in the Mountain West. So you can get score recaps and interviews and all kinds of great stuff, recapping a big day in the Mountain West. So tomorrow, get out and do your shopping, do all your stuff, get home by 7:30, and you can watch our pregame, watch the game, watch our postgame, and then watch Another Night in the Mountain West. And that'll be starting at about 10:30 tomorrow night Mountain Time. Make sure you subscribe to our new YouTube channel. We have a new YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/@Mountain West BNN. Try that again. youtube.com/@Mountain West BNN. I know it's kind of confusing, but you can subscribe to our new channel there as we talk Mountain West basketball. And that was a good show. Good talk. Appreciate it. 10 p.m. start in Indiana. We know the Buchanan family will be there. John, I'm in Kansas City right now as well. How about that? Hello from KC. I'm actually in Kansas City right now. So my brother-in-law, which I believe someone was confusing or said I said it wrong, but my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, is getting married tomorrow night here in Kansas City. So we are in Kansas City for the wedding, and then we are taking the good old Amtrak train down to St. Louis for Christmas for a couple of days. We are going to go to a Kansas basketball game on Monday. My kids are fired up for their first experience at Allen Fieldhouse. That will be on Monday when they play Davidson, and my kids get to go to the cathedral of the cathedral of basketball, Allen Fieldhouse. So I'm pumped to take my kids there on Monday, and then we're going to go down to St. Louis for a couple days, and then we will be back with no shows all next week, taking next week off. Not a ton going on in between football and basketball, so no shows next week, and then we'll be back on Monday the 29th. Monday the 29th, we'll be back to get you set for Boise State, New Mexico. So got the basketball game tomorrow, and then not much going on, football, basketball for the next week, so we're going to take that off. Hope all of you guys have a great holidays, a great Christmas. I'm not going to talk to you guys again until Monday, December 29th. I am looking forward to the break and looking forward to getting back at it in full force on Monday, the 29th, as you get set for Boise State, New Mexico on the 30th. And then you got San Diego State on the road. So big week coming up for Boise State that week. But should be a great game tomorrow against Nevada. Only a 2-point spread. Kind of a tricky game, but Boise State, for the most part, has played well in Reno. and that's certainly going to be a tough game tomorrow night, but you really would like to get this win. It's a really tricky pre-Christmas game. You don't want to go into the Christmas break 0-1 in conference play. You want to find a way to win this game, find a way to be 1-0, get that last trip to Reno out of the way, and it's a sneaky tough game. But again, 7:30 tomorrow, you'll have Nathan Carroll with the pregame show. Appreciate Nathan for helping us out, taking over coverage tomorrow while I'm at the wedding. I will be, 9 o'clock Mountain Time, this game starts, or 9 o'clock Central Time, this game starts. I'll be, somewhere at the wedding having a cocktail. Maybe, I don't know what's going to be happening, but I'm going to be trying to follow the game on my phone as much as I can, at least the second half, maybe if it's over at 10, I don't know. But we'll be maybe mid, electric slide or Cupid shuffle or something, trying to follow this game on my phone tomorrow night. So, my kids will be out there dancing. We're going to have a good time at the wedding, hopefully seeing some family. It's going to be a good time, seeing a lot of family. Going to be a good time, but I am sad that I'm missing the game tomorrow night against Nevada, but we'll be tracking it, following it, and Nathan Carroll will have pregame at 7:30, and then he will have postgame right after the game at 10, and then you can also get Tom Moser's thoughts at 10:30 on his show. He'll talk Boise State as well and give some general thoughts as well. And yes, definitely we'll be enjoying the Sun Cruiser vodkas. The strawberry lemonade is my favorite. I'm telling you, folks, strawberry lemonade, pink lemonade. It's scary how good they are. And luckily they're not they're only 4.5%. They're not like some of the other seltzers that are 5% alcohol. So it's a little lower content, but they go down pretty smooth. The tea ones are good as well, but I prefer just the straight vodka lemonades better. So, it's going to be a fun couple of days, but then again, a fun week with Christmas, holidays. Everybody, hope you spend great time with your family. Hope everybody gets a chance just to spend that quality time with your family and recharge for what we all hope is a big 2026 for all of us. So thank you guys for the kind words. You guys are my kind of extended family here. So appreciate all of you for supporting BNN, for subscribing, for supporting our sponsors. We couldn't do this show if not for all of you. So we really appreciate all of you guys for your support of Bronco Nation News and for supporting and watching all of our shows. And as I said, always just appreciate you guys for supporting BNN, helping us continue to make this thing grow. Got big plans for 2026. Going to be a big year next year for BNN. A lot of great shows and things planned and a lot of great ideas. And we're going to continue to push BNN forward. And I couldn't do it without you guys and without your support of the sponsors. So please go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. BroncoNationNews.com. You get 50% off right now if you subscribe at BroncoNationNews.com. Our great kind of holiday deal here, 50% off. Go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. You get Mike Prater's columns. Nathan Carroll just posted a basketball story. All of his pregame analysis, his conference play look is up there as well. So a lot of content, a lot of coverage up at BroncoNationNews.com. And I hope you guys go visit that. And again, have a great holidays. And we'll see you on Monday, December 29th. No shows all next week. But, of course, we'll see you tomorrow for the Lithia Florida Boise pregame show and the Jackson's postgame show. Nathan Carroll will get going 7:30 tomorrow, getting you ready for Boise State, Nevada in conference play. So have a great, safe holidays, and we'll see you at BroncoNationNews.com and the message boards. We'll still see you a little bit on social media, on Twitter, and then we'll be back tomorrow's shows. And then we'll see you after that on December 29th. So Boise State, Nevada, tomorrow, 7:30. Nathan Carroll will have you covered. And then we'll see you on Monday, the 29th. Have a great holidays, and we'll talk to you guys later. Go subscribe, Bronco Nation News, online at BroncoNationNews.com. Take care, everybody.